So, it's not the first DSS event that I'm presenting, and hopefully today I'll bring something new for you. A very innovative Israeli product that will help you dig into your attack surface. Now, how many of you would be able to define what an attack surface is? What do you think it is? Basically, when we speak about the attack surface, it's the sum of all visible vulnerabilities that can be exploited on your network. And apparently, when we start discussions with our customers, we're asking CISOs, so do you know how your infrastructure looks like? Do you know what are the most critical assets in your network? Do you have a clue of the most, let's say, dangerous or most risky assets, hotspots, etc.? And in many cases, the answer is no. So apparently, every company has invested a lot in the past, and you already have a number of different technologies. And still, you cannot answer very simple questions. So apparently, this is the reason why there is a certain statistics coming from a Verizon data breach investigation report that 97% of breaches are avoidable through standard controls. But incidents are still happening. So what makes avoidable controls or avoidable breaches not avoided? And apparently, many of you, despite the existing technologies in your infrastructure, you still lack that visibility of your environment. You don't see what you have and how well things are already protected. So bearing that in mind, you can't make proper decisions how to invest further. Is it enough? A lot of security tools that you already have, they are disjointed. You have a siloed data, meaning endpoint solutions, they don't talk to network devices. Log management systems, they have no correlation of data with, I don't know, your risk assessment process, right? Your antivirus is definitely not speaking to, another solution. So, data stays, it's not actionable. And not only you as a company have to ensure that you have people that understand the technologies that you already have, you have to have that cross-level expertise so that people can understand how to bridge technologies together. So again, the answer is why this is still unavoidable or unavoided is because many customers don't understand their attack surface. So this is where we focus as a company. Attack surface is visibility, sum of vulnerabilities in a network accessible to a hacker. So it's a very simple question to ask a CISO. Do you know how your attack surface looks like? Because your main goal why you're being hired is to make sure that you get your assets protected. Many can't answer that. So apparently, there is something to learn. The art of war teaches us to rely not on the likelihood of the enemy's not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him, not on the chance on his not attacking, but rather on the fact that we have made our positions unassailable. So apparently, it's all about creating the resilience in your infrastructure. So if you see the number, or if you've seen at least one World War II movie, most probably you saw that, right? Generals that are sitting in like a command room in front of the table, and they still use these wooden sticks to move tanks, to understand the position of their own troops, of their enemy troops. Throughout the history, a lot of wars were won by generals who simply positioned themselves on top of the hill. This is, again, a military map of modern warfare. It's the same. You see ground units, you see air units, so blue are the good guys, the red ones are apparently the enemy. You see attack vectors. You become a general. You have a visibility, and with that visibility, you can make certain actions that would lead you to a victory. So we bring you the same story. Stop fighting hackers with your eyes closed. Get that visibility. And this is something where we can help. So your attack has many layers. So you already have security controls in place. You have a number of different firewall, IPS devices, VPN, concentrators, etc., that are already meant to provide a certain level of security on your network. Then you have your network topology with routers, load balancers, switches. These connect assets that are hosting an important and critical data in your environment. So you have servers, workstations, you have different segments that partners have connections to, that users are connected to, etc. And apparently all that model, all those assets, they have vulnerabilities. But they're very different in terms of their criticality. If you look at the same vulnerability on a server that is hosting financial data and the endpoint, right? And in both cases, these are critical vulnerabilities. You'd really have to think twice which one you should fix first, or should you be fixing them at all? And this is where it comes to having scanning or vulnerability assessment techniques in place that should help. But they can only tell you if the vulnerability is critical or not. They really have no understanding of that network context. And apparently there are threats. So threats are typically people, as I've been exploring this topic in the past. We have hackers, we have insiders, we have another third attack origin or threat origin, which would be a partner network. You had no control of partner security tools or security tools used in partners network. So basically attack can originate, as a couple of years ago, actually more than a couple, was with in the case with the Sony. So you can also Google how important is the analytics to start analyzing things together by downloading a free Gartner's report called Gartner's SOAR report. Basically, it states that it has to be a stack of different technologies, and that it's very important to start doing security analytics because with the existing detection techniques like vulnerability assessment, log management, CM, right, you really need to start modeling your network and understand priorities, right, and understand threats in order later to be able to respond to them effectively and mitigate those. So there are certain predictions that SOAR or analytics as an industry or as a budgets in terms of budget allocation, that this market is going to grow very rapidly. But the main goal of SOAR technologies, and Skybox is definitely one of them. We've been promoting this for more than 10 years now. And it's meant to really consolidate data and extract actionable insight through existing technologies, prioritize risk, analyze attack surface, automate security processes, reduce resource drain. So many of you have had a number of projects for maybe vulnerability assessment, patch management, GRC, service desk in terms of authorizing and securing changes, CM, forensics, maybe identity management, etc. Well, we bring things together. So in general, Skybox, we're the fastest growing company in our space with 60% year-to-year growth. We're one of the 25 coolest information security vendors in the world, together with very big players. We're a global company. Our headquarters are in, we cannot say in United States, but it's an Israeli company. Our research and development and product management is all based in Israel. We have more than 600 customers, and pretty much we shine because we made a very scalable, very sexy platform that integrates all together, and where each module addresses a specific layer in the attack surface. So we have firewall assurance that assesses firewall compliance, network assurance to build a comprehensive automated model of your network, change manager to do safe changes, to analyze any changes in your network from the security and compliance point of view, vulnerability control to help you prioritize vulnerabilities and assess attack vectors which are exploitable directly or indirectly, and Threat Manager to help you deal with new threats such as zero-day attacks. So basically the way we work, we have more than 90 existing integrations that you just need to plug technology into, or plug other technologies into Skybox. These are readily available integrations. We use no agents. So we have a number of customers worldwide. So I can't say that there is, specific industry where we shine better. 7 out of 10 biggest financial corporations are already our existing customers. Such resellers or telcos as BT, Orange, they're also acting not only as customers but also as MSSP providers. We're very strong in government. I mean, a number of NATO countries, their governments are part of our customers. But again, you see a lot of different names, and still they come together because they all have the same challenges, and apparently they're facing the same issues. They want to make attacks preventable. They want to remediate them, maintain compliance. But trust me, every company, no matter how big or small it is, they have the same problems. Limited resources, increased complexity, and less direct control. So again, I'm not going to offer you another, reactive security tool that you combine that will save your life. No, I'm going to offer you an analytic platform. So this platform allows you to model your network. It's done automatically. We simply read firewall and network device data. With normalized view, we can provide you with access simulations. You would see your network, how it looks like every day, every hour, every minute. Then we dig into the exact firewalls. We do rule and configuration checks. Are your firewalls properly optimized and utilized? So are there any redundant rules, shadowed rules? Are you complying with vendors' recommendations like Cisco, Checkpoint? Are you compliant with PCI DSS or NIST standard? Are you compliant to a certain rule best practice so that you don't configure your firewalls to have any in 3 areas, in service, destination, and source? Rule optimization, change tracking, just to ensure that you have those configured effectively. Compliance monitoring is automatic. Change management, we transform. If you need to make a change from point A to point B, there might be a number of firewalls in between that would require change. So basically, we'll transition that change into a number of changes, and we would assess every change in terms of compliance and security, because every change in the firewall would expose your network to new vulnerabilities. We integrate with all scanning technologies. So be it a Qualys, Nessus, Encircle, Rapid7, right? We can just plug in that to get the data. If you're using CMDB, let's say using Microsoft System Center, or you're using, Symantec or any other endpoint inventory tools that build your CMDB, we integrate with that. We get the data. So we do use mathematical algorithm. If you don't use any scanner to calculate the existence of vulnerabilities, it's 99.9% accurate, right? And we allow you to do the same day identification. So with scanners, you have to scan manually, let's say, or schedule it every month, because you wouldn't be able to scan or remediate vulnerabilities that often. Some, like SCADA networks, you wouldn't be able to scan them at all. But with doing mathematical calculations, you can easily check and identify if there is a new vulnerability in the database, if that really correlates to any resource that it could be potentially harmful to. Then we start getting into the very, very cool area called attack surface analysis. So we do hotspot analysis, so basically we'll show you what are the critical things. So out of thousands of vulnerabilities, you would see ones that are directly exploitable given the existing network context. We show you compensating control. So not only as a scanning technology, we provide you with a patch or the recommended patch that you need to apply. As we work with IPS technologies, we would provide you exactly IPS signatures which you can use to block certain attacks. So we do understand the full network context, business impact, and we really do vulnerability management based on business risk. So apparently this information like business impact and network context help us prioritize response, define real attack vectors. Out of thousands of problems in your environment, you'll be able to see exactly what you need to know. And apparently there is a built-in trouble ticketing system that you can create tickets, inform administrators, network guys about things that need to be changed. So, and for CISOs, we really want them to stop fighting with, as I said, eyes wide shut, or just eyes shut. So we created Skybox Horizon, which was nominated as the most innovative security product of the year by CS Magazine. Basically, every technical detail that I've just described you, we would transform into 5 indicators of exposure or indicators of risk. So basically, every piece in your environment, be it a single device, be it an asset, you would understand or you would analyze in terms of vulnerability exposure, vulnerability density, if there are new vulnerabilities discovered, by risky access rules, by an unsecure device configuration. So this is really about bringing that context all together. I have a live product. If you're interested, I'll be able to show you. These are just screenshots. So every circle represents the relative size of the site. You can drill into and actually see the main issue. So this is a unified, harmonized, normalized CISO view, which shows you the health or protection level or status or posture of your organization. So network model visualization, as I said, we read the data, we understand network, we understand routing, which our competition doesn't really do. So we build your network environment. We have customers that looked into acquire our solution just because we're able to draw the map. Before, they had 2 people, 2 persons that actually were redrawing the network map every day from the scratch because they had the compliance requirement to always have up-to-date map. We do that automatic. Every day you see the environment as is. And this is not a JPEG. This is actionable map where you could do access analysis. You could check how routing works, how NAT or NAT works. You can check firewall rules, VPNs. You can really work with the map, analyze zone-to-zone access, and really understand. So even for troubleshooting, this is one of the example maps of one of our bigger customers, right, with hundreds of thousands of devices. Now imagine you're an IT guy, and somebody calls you in a support and says, hello, I'm John Smith, and for some reason, I'm not able to connect to this device. Can you tell me what's wrong? It's a big of a challenge to tell you what's wrong. It's a troubleshooting. For IT guys, it takes days. It might take, a couple of days to actually figure out. Now imagine a similar story when somebody joins your company and you have to, plug a new computer and create all the, new access to a certain device, or a new consultant comes that needs to request a certain access. How many changes would you have to do that? It takes weeks, days, to analyze this infrastructure. With us, it really takes seconds. You simply analyze, you do access analysis, no matter what technology you use. Trust me, out of the 90 technologies or integrations we have, we would support, most probably everything that you have in your environment so far. So again, working big, we're good, same way good, working small. So when we come to a device view, every change that is being made with a firewall, it would be visible right here, so before and after change. So if anybody makes an unauthorized change and there is no trouble ticket, we would eventually notify that the change was on the firewall without a prior approval from the management. Zone-to-zone access, as I said, we not only talk with firewalls, we talk with network devices. We understand routing. So every time if you have auditors and you need to ensure that your network is configured properly. So how many of you are 100% sure that, for instance, you only have port 80% open from the internet to your DMZ? Can you just say, yes, 100% sure? Nobody can. Trust me, with us you can, because you can run the check in 2 seconds, you see that. It's a live configuration data. No matter if you have Cisco firewall, Checkpoint firewall, and Palo Alto IPS device in between. It doesn't matter. For us, it really takes a second. Then you might have a policy. If you're a bank that, well, or based on the NIST standard, that resellers can only access a development network on ports 80, 80, 80, SSL, and 22. Can you check that? Can you say 100% that it's compliant? No, you cannot. Well, you can, because we run these queries. We understand these things. Can you say that, well, nobody can access financial service from the internet? Well, yes, you can, because this is analytics. This is something you as CISO should know from day to day. Continuous compliance monitoring, I mean, it's completely automated. So the moment you plug in Skybox, you read the config data, we will show you exactly why you're violating NIST partner to DMZ policy. So we work with PCI DSS, NIST, and out of the box, and you can create as many custom policies as you really want. You can track exceptions, but it's really automated. The moment we get the data, you see how compliant you are. So we really provide a complete visibility with network map of host, devices, zones, access rules, routing, NAT, VPNs. We can show you risky access path, etc. So what's interesting is that, again, the change management mechanism. But I'll talk about it after I complete the vulnerability. So imagine you have that understanding of your network context, and now you start calculating attack vectors. Many of you use maybe Nessus, maybe Rapid7, maybe Qualys for vulnerability scans. Well, trust me, we work with all of them. I mean, they are part of our database. There is no bigger database most probably on the market than what we have. I mean, we get the data from all advisories, and we support each and every scanner available. But we add a much more value into the scanning process than any scanning technology. Scanning technology can assess the presence of vulnerability without really understanding how your network is configured. So basically, you're shooting blind. You get thousands of vulnerabilities, you see them, you really have no clue how well you're protected. Would a hacker be able to exploit that vulnerability, or that vulnerability would only be exploitable by a user who has administrative rights? So what's the point? You cannot manage thousands of vulnerabilities in your network, and it's usually hundreds of thousands of them. So we do it differently. We model your network, same modeling that you use, but we help you set a business impact on the assets, and by analyzing vulnerabilities, we analyze the vectors. We really analyze the existing security controls in place. So as you can see here, for instance, this is just a screenshot of an attack explorer. Basically, what I did to the product was said, click the right click on the backend system and said, show me attack explorer. What we have here is, if you see, there is a corrupted insider, so one attack vector. You have a B2B threat, or just simply partner connecting to your network, and internet. If you click on any of these arrows, these are exactly the attack vectors that you can exploit. So that looks like this. We show you the real routing scheme and access rules of your firewalls, which allow a certain connection to happen. We would show you vulnerabilities which need to be exploited. In this case, if you come later to the booth, I'll show you. First one gives you user rights. The second one gives you, or the third one gives you a root rights. And this is how you make an attack. Trust me, from a vulnerability scanning point of view, the system might have 5,000 vulnerabilities, right? Typically, directly exploitable within given context would be 1% to 2% of all vulnerabilities existing on the network. So a lot of nice dashboards, and again, out of thousands of vulnerabilities, it's typically the level of 20, 30, 300 maybe, if in a big company, of those vulnerabilities, those attacks vectors that can be really exploited. So now let's get back to the change management, which is going to be the last thing for me to mention today. So you remember that huge network with a lot of assets, network segments, firewalls. So what happens when you have to maintain changes and you have to ensure that you're still secure and compliant? The problem is that it's very easy to reconfigure the firewalls and open ports. But without automation, you would never be able to assess if in between the source and destination you have 20 different firewalls and network devices that would need to be changed or updated in terms of rule set. And you're opening additional ports for certain services. How would that affect your compliance? In fact, it might take half a year for you to analyze these risks. We do this automatically. So basically, whenever you create a change, a user would log. We have a trouble ticketing system, which looks like exactly a change request in every service desk. You can integrate that with many service desks. We're completing now ServiceNow integration. We have BMC, etc. So you can actually get into your existing change management process. A user says, I want to have access to the specific resource. Of course, we have to translate that from source IP to the destination IP. But bearing in mind we understand the full routing and your full network model, we will translate that into the number of changes that have to be made on multiple firewalls, no matter that these might be different firewalls from different vendors. I automatically run vulnerability and compliance assessments. So we would show you that this change on a specific firewall would breach the compliance of certain regulations. If you make the change, you would no longer be compliant to PCI DSS. And if you provide the change from a security and vulnerability point of view, you would expose your network to a number of vulnerabilities. So given you have no issue with compliance, you should still be very much concerned about vulnerabilities and about exposing them to the network. So, fix them first and then grant the access. So basically, this change manager workflow really allows you to authorize these changes and reconcile them with the existing changes on the firewall. So that concludes my presentation. So we're really, quite unique company with a very unique approach. We give you a complete visibility. We integrate with the existing tools. We let you measure how effective your existing tools are. Stop wasting money on buying another miracle, magic box that will make you secure. It's not going to happen. Analytics is going to help you assess where you are. Right? With the number of integrations we really have a very broad platform that covers a lot of things in the analysis of the attack surface. We have our own vulnerability lab that does a research. We integrate with all existing scanning technologies. We have customers that use the technology that have 5 firewalls, 20 network devices. We have customers that have worldwide networks. I mean, with public customers of us like BT, Orange, Barclays, Credit Suisse. I mean, these are huge infrastructures. So technology really scales. It doesn't require for you, to have, extra databases. Basically, it comes either as appliance or virtual appliance or a software that can easily be deployed. And as I said, we have, support basically working in the same time zone as we are. So, support in Israel. And we offer also 24/7 if need be, as we have certain customers that use our resources to monitor the health of their system. So I thank you. If you're willing to actually take a live glimpse into the system, how it works, just come to the central hall. I'll be there and we'll be able to show you some cool stuff. Thank you.